How's it, everyone? Welcome back to another string review right here on OpenCourt. I'm Kent, and today I am trying out a Tourna string for the very first time. I've never tried any Tourna string before. Tourna obviously is known for their Tournagrip, but today I'm excited to finally test out the Tourna Big Hitter Silver. Let's check it out. So recently I put out a community post asking you guys what Tourna string you guys recommend, because honestly I don't really know much about the brand besides the Tournagrip. And a lot of you gave me some great answers, but the one that came up the most often was this Tourna Big Hitter Silver. The Silver 7 Tour, a lot of you also said, is like similar to Lynx Tour, which is one of my favorite, actually it is my favorite poly string at the moment. So I am planning to try that in the future, but I decided to try the simple round version first, the Tourna Big Hitter Silver. A lot of people say this Big Hitter Silver is supposed to be Tourna's version of Luxilon's Alu Power because of the construction. This string is made with a soft polyethylene resin, and it also has aluminum fibers in the string. That's similar to the Alu Power. The Alu in Alu Power is aluminum. So this Tourna Big Hitter comes in very cheap at about $7 a set or $75 for a whole reel. That is way cheaper than Luxilon's Alu Power, which runs about $20 a set. Obviously it only comes in this one color, the silver, but it comes in two gauges, the 130 and the 125 millimeter. So Tourna strings are made in Germany, and interestingly on the back of the package it says it's the #1 string in resistance to movement and the #2 string in durability according to the US RSA, the Racket Stringers Association playtests back in 2004. So this string has been around a long time, but the fact that it's ranked 1 and 2 in those categories is pretty impressive. So I got the Tourna Big Hitter Silver strung up in my current favorite rackets, the Boom Pro, and I got it strung at my usual reference tension for polys at 52 in the mains and 50 in the crosses. Just looking at this, the color of this Big Hitter Silver, it's a little bit more on the whiter side, off-white color. It's not quite silver like the Alu Power. But regardless, I am going to be thinking about Alu Power a bit when I hit with this, because a lot of people compared this to the Alu Power, but it is under $7, so I'm not going to judge it as harshly. But without further ado, I'm excited to finally try out a Tourna string for the first time. So let's get on the court and let's try out this Tourna Big Hitter Silver. So let's start with the pros of the Tourna Big Hitter Silver. So I asked the community to recommend me a Tourna string because I've never used one before, and many people said I should try this string because it's similar to Luxilon's Alu Power. After having played with this string a few times, I feel there are some similarities, but they're not one-to-one comparisons. The Alu Power is more crisp and responsive, but the Big Hitter Silver gives much more response than many of the more muted polys I've been using recently. From the first full swing I took on my forehand, I was impressed with the feel I got upon contact. The impact response was crisp and lively. I could tell exactly when I struck dead center in the string bed, and I felt very confident with my aggressive forehands. I was hitting forehand winners left and right in my singles match I played with the Big Hitter Silver. I had great control on my forehand, and I could just hit just about everywhere I was aiming. From deep into the corners to short angles toward the sidelines to flat liners to push my opponent back. I felt in total command from the baseline with this string. The backhand was not too shabby either, but my forehand definitely benefited more from the control and response. This was most evident on my return of serves. I like to step in and take returns early, and I was able to push back returns that landed at the server's feet. This forced a lot of easy putaways. On serves that ran away from me, I was able to pull the ball back cross court and hit short angle returns that kept my opponent off balance. This is why I like crisp polys. That lively response gives me the confidence and command to hit the ball exactly where I'm aiming, and this boost in confidence allows me to take more risks. I like to go for high risk, highlight worthy shots, and the Big Hitter allowed me to stay on the gas. The power level of the Big Hitter is quite decent. It gives a fair amount of pop without being too mushy or launchy. It actually firms up quite well on big swings and gets a great balance of power and control. I can still hit flat serves, backhands, and overheads with good pace. I would say the Big Hitter is a little lower powered than Alu Power, but the difference mostly comes from the fact that Alu Power loses tension quickly and becomes more trampoline-like. That leads me to the tension maintenance. For a string that is under $10, the Big Hitter Silver retains tension very well. If we're looking at a cost to performance ratio, the Big Hitter is leagues ahead of Alu Power, which drops tension after the very first play session. For the feel and response, I was very pleased with just how solid this string felt, especially on ground strokes. I have heard that the Big Hitter Silver is a soft string. I found that wasn't the case for me. I would not put this string in the soft category, rather it is in the firm but comfortable category, which is in that sweet spot I like. I actually prefer stiffer strings, but the Big Hitter gave me enough response to be able to hit drop shots that died inside the service box. The feel really came into play at net. When I wanted to hit angle volleys or when approaching the net, I felt exactly where I was striking the ball on the strings, and that gave me good command on my volleys. An underrated aspect of responsive strings for me is the assistance they give me when I'm forced into playing defense. I'm naturally an aggressive player, so I struggle against players who can match me pace for pace. Whenever I have to play defense, it takes me out of my comfort zone, but the Big Hitter Silver's crisp response made me more comfortable than I otherwise would be on defense. Defensive slices and lobs aren't my strong suit, but the response of this string gave me good command on these shots and allowed me to defend more deftly. Although I couldn't really transition from defense to offense as easily as I would have liked, the silver lining of the Big Hitter Silver, pun definitely intended, is that this string didn't cause me to give my opponent an easy put away that often. Speaking of slices, the Big Hitter really grips the ball well on slices, especially my backhand slices. This doesn't usually happen with round polys, but I felt good ball pocketing when I tried to knife through an offensive slice. The response and elasticity of the string allows for good dwell time, and I could put my slices deep into the corners and they stayed low. I could easily follow my slices into the net, and it forced my opponent to dig them up below their knees. Anything that lets me get up to net easily is greatly appreciated. And lastly, the spin generation of the Big Hitter is very high for a simple round poly. On my aggressive swings, I feel the ball sinking in, causing the strings to displace, but unlike the Babala Exalt I recently reviewed, I could feel the Big Hitter snapping back well. I could see my shots dropping, and I could hit low over the net with ease. My kick serves were surprisingly effective. I had to put a little more wrist action into it to really see my kick serve jumping up and away, but I could see the movement of my serve in midair, and it forced weak returns which my opponent at net could attack. I thought this string was really good all around, and I was very pleasantly surprised by the Big Hitter. So now getting into the cons, and honestly I'm struggling to even think about anything to put in this area. I was really surprised by this string in just about every aspect, and the only thing I can think of to put as cons are nitpicks or just things that I want just a little bit more of. First of all, the spin level. I know I just said it was above average for a typical round poly, but I had to exert just a little more effort to get my kick serves kicking high, especially on the deuce side. I couldn't hit the center corner as easily as some other strings that get more spin, meaning I was faulting slightly wide to the right and my kick serve was landing in the ad service box. I had to really twist my body to get the ball going cross court. This is not really a knock against the string, but I say every time, the best string is one that lets players play naturally and comfortably without having to change their mechanics, and on the deuce side kick serve, I had to toss more to the left and contort my body more to hit that center corner by the tee. Kick serve from the ad side were not nearly as tiring, but as a righty, the ad side kick serve feels more natural for me anyway. Second, because this string feels more on the firm side, I sometimes struggle to clear the high part of the net when hitting down the line in singles. This was more noticeable on my backhand because I hit my backhands in more of a line drive fashion. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with my assessment that the Big Hitter is firm, but I'm just going with what I felt during this playtest honestly, and the firmness, though I really liked it, I sometimes had to take the ball earlier to clear the high part of the net when hitting the down the line backhands. And lastly, the string is firm and comfortable, but I would like it to be a little more crisp. Headlinks Tour Solinco Tour Bite, Joker Core, which I was very pleasantly surprised with, and the Alu Power Feel are some of the most responsive strings I've ever tried, and the Big Hitter is a step below all of these in response. Again, not a huge issue, but something I would prefer so I can feel more confident striking the ball aggressively from the baseline or when hitting drop shots, angles, and low volleys. I just really want that connection to the ball. So, who is the Tourna Big Hitter Silver string for? Honestly, I think this string has one of the most diverse player bases among the strings I've tried. I think players who want something firm but not overly stiff, who likes to play aggressively from the baseline, will benefit from the control this string offers. It also feels great for serve and volley players because it gets decent pace on flat and slice serves, and the liveliness on volleys makes placing volleys accurately very easy. Players who are on a budget who want something long lasting will also like the big hitter because it's under 10 bucks. I can't comment on durability because I never play with strings until they break, but since this is a smooth round poly, I don't think it will break anytime soon. Because of the smooth profile, I think this could make a good cross string in a hybrid. I may try to hybrid this with a budget synthetic gut in the mains, but under $10, I was very surprised and impressed with this string. So how do you guys feel about it? Do you feel it's softer than I assessed, or do you agree that this string is firm and comfortable? Let me know in the comments. And next up for me is the Big Hitter Silver 7 Tour, which I've heard is kind of like my favorite poly head Lynx Tour. Just hearing that and coming off playing with the Big Hitter Silver makes me very excited about the Silver 7 Tour. Thank you for watching this review of the Tourna Big Hitter Silver right here on OpenCourt. If you guys like this content, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on an OpenCourt.